Okay, Gary, you've been ranked #1 in the world with Remax for how many years now?
I think it's 8. Each month we probably recruit about 8 to 10 new agents.
And you said, Justin, you need 100 agents with that lead volume.
Genius, that's what I say.
Genius, there you go.
I called him literally in seconds and he was super impressed. Oh, here's my other analogy. Do you want to hear my other analogy? I've got so many.
Surround yourself with people that are better than you at things that you are not good at. 100% of nothing is nothing. 50% of something is more than nothing.
That experience when you walk into a home, and I don't have it for you, but you walk in and go, this is it. There's something I like about this house. I was the tiny hinge that swung the big door.
No one is bigger than the whole.
Correct.
We all do our part. All right, today I am here with my good friend and mentor, Gary Ashton.
That's awesome.
Well, you know what, Gary? September 2012, I was generating about 4,500 leads a month with myself and 4 other agents. And back then, I thought I was winning.
Yeah.
And then I met you.
In Miami, right?
Yeah, we met in Miami, South Beach. So, Gary, do you remember that conversation? What did you see when I showed you my numbers, or I told you the number of leads that I was generating?
I do remember it because I know that you always quote me as being your mentor because of this. But it was, I think that I said something, and you remember this way better than me, but I said you need 3 times as many agents as you have leads, I think is what I said. But you're going to be able to quote it way better than me. But I knew it was a pearl of wisdom, but I just can't remember what I said.
Well, it's been 14 years or so, right, here this September. But I do remember we were sitting inside that Cuban restaurant. There was 4 of us sitting at the table. And we're kind of going around the table, just kind of sharing a little bit about our businesses, where we were at, what we were doing for lead gen and so forth.
Yeah.
And I recall it came to me and I was like, I generate about 150 leads a day, myself and 4 other agents. And, the bloke you are with your English accent, you kind of put your hand in the table and he said, Justin, you need 100 agents with that lead volume.
Right. And I was right.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Yeah, you told me I needed over 100 agents with that volume. And let me ask you this. How did you know that?
Third of the agents will be working. Third of the agents will be having downtime because everybody needs downtime. And I forgot what the other third would be.
If my memory is correct, is like you said, 1/3 of the agents are going to be busy working with the business they already have. So they're not able to take on any new opportunities.
Yeah.
The other third are going to be available to take on new opportunities.
Yeah.
And the other third are going to be out there enjoying life, vacations, taking a little bit of time off.
Yeah.
And I look back at that now, and if you are someone who runs a team yourself, and maybe you can look at your own team, that 1/3 is pretty accurate.
Genius. That's what I say.
Genius. There you go.
And I'm claiming it. And then forevermore, I've been your mentor. I love that. That's fantastic.
And you know what, Gary? The one thing that I'm forever grateful for is, how you open up your playbook to me and really showed me the ropes. I came home from that conference, like many of us do, all energized, and I'm going to blow everything up. But I literally blew everything up. Yeah. I hired my very first admin. You used to live in Google Docs, and you shared, this is how you obviously running your team. And do you recall what the size of your team was back in 2012?
2012, maybe it wasn't that big. 16, 20, something like that, maybe. I can't
16
remember.
or 20?
Yeah, I can't remember.
And why?
I can't remember. I have to look at the pictures of the team and see where we are.
And why did you open up your playbook to me?
Because I knew you were smarter than me, so I thought if I tell him something, then I'll get all the insights into everything else that he's doing. It's really
well. I don't know about that, but we can debate that one another time.
I can't remember because I feel like we were doing exactly the same thing. You were in Calgary, I was in Nashville. We're not immediate competition. We're using the same platform, which is Real Estate Webmasters. We're in the same business, so this is somebody that was. I would have said it was a peer, and that's a good way to everybody to learn and grow by sharing.
I believe we were also using the same search engine company or a person.
SEO guy, yeah.
Yeah, and that person recommended that we connect at this conference because we were both going to the same conference.
Was that Morgan or Josh? I can't remember.
It was Josh.
It was Josh, okay, yeah.
And then I met you by the pool for breakfast.
But I think Morgan had also said, you guys need to chat. This is what I remember, yeah. Yeah, so we met at the pool, and we still have that picture somewhere.
Yeah, we do, right? It pops up for memories from time to time. So take us back to the beginning. What was the first version of the Ashton real estate team, and what did that look like? Clearly, you've been number one in the world for many, many years. You could probably share how many years you've been that, because I've sure lost count. But take us back to the beginning. What was the first version? Pardon me?
The very beginning, it was just me. I was an agent at a big regional brokerage, and what happened was me and my dad had investment properties. No, me and my dad had a motel in Florida, which we sold in 2000 because I was going to come. I'm a drummer, so I was going to come to Nashville to be a famous drummer, session guy. I thought I was good, and so when we sold the motel in Florida, the idea was you have to do the 1031 exchange, so reinvest the money from the sale of that to avoid paying extra tax. If you reinvest it into like or similar properties, then you can avoid paying that tax legally, doing it all legally. And so when we moved to Nashville, I was coming here because of music, really, because somebody had heard a CD that I was playing on, and they said, oh, you guys should move to Nashville. So that was the reason we came to Nashville. And I thought, well, I'll get my real estate license so we can then use that investment money to buy single family properties as rentals, basically. So I thought, I'll get my real estate license. I'll get the inside scoop. I'll get all the intel. I can be representing me and my dad when we buy the property, and then I'll get the commission. So that was the idea, to do a little bit of investments. And then the rest of the time, obviously, I would be touring the world and being a session drummer. But that's when I realized very quickly that Nashville is full of extremely talented musicians, and I was at the bottom of the barrel, basically. So that meant I had to start focusing on real estate to actually make some money. So the long story is that when this is in 1990, me and my dad bought the motel. Mid-90s is when the internet started, kind of thing. So
1994, right?
Yeah. So I think by 95, we had a website for the hotel. It was hotel called the Bay Breeze. So prior to that, we had what you would call a trifold brochure. When you got the little brochures and then you open it up. So I knew that we needed really good pictures for that. So we had professional photography. It was all very professionally done, which was great because that was how we were marketing to the Brits, because my mum was still in England. We'd send a bunch of brochures over, and then when people would inquire, we would use the national media of England. So England's only about the size of Florida, but we have newspapers that cover the whole of England. So we'd have a little ad in there that would generate the inquiries. We would send those trifold brochures directly to people's homes. So when the internet came along, we thought, this is great, because now people can just go online and look at the same information. So we put all of that information from the trifold brochure onto a website, and then that's how we started down this path, because that's when I realized you can create as many pages as your imagination will allow. And then this is where, another friend of ours, Justin Benson, would say, I'm a kiddie coder. I kind of learned basic HTML to be able to go and create more pages, be able to add pictures. And then essentially what I was doing, now I know, was learning what the user experience was going to be. I wanted to make it the way that I would want to go to a website. I would want to go here. I want to click here. If I click on the room price, I want to be able to see what the room is. I want to be able to see the floor plan. I would be able to see what the views are like from certain points in the room. So I figured all that out. Never really knew what I was doing. I was, bluffing my way. Anyway, so that meant that when I moved to Nashville to become a musician, and then realized I wasn't going to be any good, but I still liked all of the marketing, all of the internet stuff. Funnily enough, when we found the house, this is in 2000, I remember I actually looked on realtor.com to this day, I think it was odd that there wasn't many people doing online stuff, but Realtor.com already had a site. And that's how I found my house, and that's how I found my agent, by looking online. Because obviously at this point I wasn't an agent. So I was just at the early days of people looking online. And the first thing I bought was, because I've got such a big ego, was the URL Gary Ashton, because I thought that would be awesome. I should have bought Nashville Real Estate, Nashville Homes, all of the good URLs. I was not thinking, and I just bought GaryAshton.com. And so...
well, I mean, to be fair, all those domains were likely already purchased in like 1994.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But I think there's certain things like Nashville Homes, like the longer ones. But anyway, I didn't. I bought my my ego got ahead of me, and I bought Gary Ashton.
Well, I don't know if I would call it ego. I think that in our industry, we've always been told to build a personal brand.
Yep.
And, a personal brand would be your full name. That is one of the things
I do remember why I really wanted that, because I wanted Gary at GaryAshton.com as my email address. I thought that would be amazing. And it's still out there. I don't even use it anymore because it's so full of spam. It's terrible. So now I have another email address.
So don't use that email if they want to get in contact.
I mean, you can, but I'm never going to get it. It's just going to go into the void.
You know what? And thank you for sharing that. I mean, clearly you had a foresight to see where marketing was going and how it was going from the traditional paper route into digital. I had a similar experience. Like back in 2000, I was working for one of the largest larger telecommunication companies here in Canada, Shaw Cable, and I was installing high-speed internet for people. And I would see people, like I remember this elderly couple in Killarney. I went there, which is a community here in Calgary. I went there to install high-speed internet, and many of these people had just bought their first computer. And it was this elderly couple, and we would go in and we would install the high-speed modem, we would install a Ethernet card inside the computer, the software to run everything, and then we would show them how to use the internet and how to use their computer, and some of those moments were quite interesting. I remember one person was trying to move the mouse on the screen, and because the mouse hit the keyboard, he moved the keyboard. Or people just
different
learning
days. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but people just learning how to turn on the computer. I mean, nowadays our phones are many times more powerful than the computers that we had back then.
Oh, God, yeah.
But I was installing high-speed internet, and I was always asking, what did people do for a living, and why were they getting the internet? And this couple there were at that age where a lot of their friends were passing.
Yeah.
And they said, we realized that we can find the obituaries online, so we can cancel the newspaper.
Jeez.
Right. But it's like, clearly they were understanding that the world was changing, and that was the only reason why they were buying the newspaper was for that. That was just kind of.
Well, it's the blessing and the curse of the internet, because you have the whole world at your fingertips, which is great because now you got this massive library of information and intel. You can get access to everything, but then you also have access to everything, which is.
So you got into real estate as a solo agent, and then what made you start a team? Obviously, you had GaryAshton.com.
Let me think back. So it was just me. I was trying to generate my own business. So when I was in the brokerage there was a really successful agent, and he ended up getting divorced. So I went up to him and said, "Hey, Steve, if you need any help, let me know. I'm a brand new agent." And he said, "Yeah, you can work all these leads from me that I'm getting from my sign calls," because he was like dominating the listings. So he said, every time I get a listing, oh no, that's right. He had it set up so that on his listings, he had a thing so that if anybody inquired on the listing, I think it's called Smart Line or something like that, so that somebody would they'd type in the code, and he would get an email, and then that would be somebody inquiring about that property. So it was directly inquiring about property. And then he was doing nothing with those emails. And he said, you can have all these. And when anybody inquires on a property, that can be your lead. and we'll split it 50-50. And I was like, 50-50? Good grief. But 100% of nothing is nothing. 50%, I was like, okay. So that was my first deal. I was doing 50-50. But then I think that what I realized was that when somebody makes an inquiry, it goes to an email address. As an agent back then, this is in 2001, most people would have a cell phone, but they would also have a pager. So I realized that the pager had an email address. So then I would get the leads. The email, I would just forward them to the pager so that whenever something came in, I could call really quickly. So that was the start of me realizing when you get an inquiry, you can't just let it sit and hang around for 2 weeks, which is what all
you naturally knew that speed to lead was important.
I don't know if I naturally knew. I just thought, that's much more convenient that I know that a lead's come in. But then I very quickly realized if I call that person straight away and I go, hey, Justin, I just saw you were inquiring about, most people would go, whoa, that was quick. And I was, oh yeah, I like to be efficient. I like to get the information for you. So that I realized pretty quickly, speed to lead. So then the next thing for me was trying to expand that business for my own business rather than somebody else's, as it were. So that's when I realized I needed to do stuff online. And how did you get people to inquire? How did you get your website to rank? And I still had no clue. But Google came along and started doing pay-per-click. And then that's when I started spending, I think, $10 a day or something on leads. And I would get 1 or 2 leads a day. And then because I had the leads coming to my email, but then email forward to my pager, it reinforced the fact that I had to be as quick as possible to call those people. And it was interesting because one of the very first leads that I got, this is a story I tell other agents, is a guy called Rich Peluso, and still friends with him. And Rich was the president of EMI Christian Music Group, and he inquired about a property. He put his real email address in and his real phone number, because this is really on. I think this is when people are still maybe a little naive to how quickly somebody would respond. And I called him literally in seconds, and he was super impressed. And then because I was English, I got to chat to him more. And because I was involved in music, very quickly we started talking about the Beatles. So it was, the initial conversation was about real estate. Then it went off completely in a different direction about music. But what it did was enable me to kind of develop a relationship with him. So we got on great on the phone. And then eventually I listed his house for sale. And then he ended up buying a big old house in Franklin. So,
and that's one of the most important things when we're connecting with any sort of leads is trying to create a similarity, a similar interest and a connection.
Sure. And I always tell people I had an advantage because as soon as I talk, people go, well, where are you from? You're not from around here. And so I would be able to say, oh, yeah, I just moved to Nashville. Why are you in Nashville?
Is that your version of trying to do a Southern accent?
Yeah. It's very good. And I would say, oh, moved here for music and I played drums. And so instantly people would chat to me because I was English. And then also I could talk about music, which in my mind, it was something more interesting than just purely talking about real estate, but it enabled me to spend more time on the phone with them. So I always describe it like this. You probably heard me say this before, but when you make that first call, you literally like there's a brick wall between you, like we're on this podcast, there's a brick wall and I'm on one side, you're on the other, and I'm talking. And the longer I can spend on the phone with you, I can start taking those bricks down one by one. And eventually, now I start to see you, you see me, and then you develop this relationship, and people go, oh, yeah, I like this guy. He actually knows what he's talking about, which was usually what would happen, not all the time, but by the end of the conversation, because we'd go in, we'd talk about music, coming from Nashville, why are you in Nashville? But at the end of the conversation, we'd get back around to real estate. And then usually what they would say was, oh, I'm so glad you called. This has been great. Because really all that person wanted was, they wanted information. When they made that inquiry about the property, they just wanted intel about that property. They weren't really expecting me to call quite as quickly. But once they realized, oh, this this is what I want. This guy's telling me about the information about the area and doing everything that a realtor does. They're the gateway for everything about all of the local intel. You've got access to the mortgage, to all the vendors, to everything. You're the gatekeeper for so many things. And once people realize they've met somebody that they feel like they can trust, that's when they go, oh, so glad you called.
Yeah. So you obviously started building a website, and then you started generating a lot of leads, and then that made you then look at to doing what that agent in your office was doing, is handing off opportunities to other agents. Or what was the start of you starting a team?
Because how did that come about? I was doing pay-per-click. So I was one of the first agents to be doing pay-per-click. And then the owners of Nashville.com, it's a geo domain, Nashville.com, kind of like Calgary.com, amazing.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't own it. And they were generating, I think, 20 to 30 inquiries. So I think it's back in 2003 or 4, might be 2004. So on Google, if you, back then, if you typed anything with Nashville in, Nashville.com would rank just because it was a geo domain. So when you went to the website, in the top right-hand corner, it said something about real estate. So they were getting people inquiring about anything about Nashville, but also then they would inquire about real estate, 20 to 30 leads a day. So the owners of Nashville.com were trying to figure out, well, how do we find a realtor that will see the value of these? And so they approached all of the bigger companies in town. And I think they eventually got to talk to somebody, but those leads were going to the relocation department. So they were coming in, they were sitting in somebody's email box, and then 3 or 4 days later, they would pass them out to another agent, and they would treat it as a relo, which was terrible because obviously we know they need to be called straight away. So anyway, that didn't work. So the owners of Nashville.com were trying to find somebody that would see the value of internet leads, basically. So they went to pay-per-click. I think they just Googled Nashville real estate, saw who was number one in pay-per-click, which
was you.
Was me, because I'd always try and make sure that I was number one. If I dropped down to number two, I'd have to up the bid. And anyway, so that was me. They called me and then they said, would you be interested? And I think at the time it was $2,000 a month, which back then could have been like $20,000 a month. And obviously I said, whoa, that's way too much. And then they said, I think it was November time, we'll give you a sample. We'll give you a free week of leads. We'll just to prove our point, how awesome it is. And that was it. So I always describe it as, when I was doing pay-per-click, that was like 1 or 2 leads a day. It was like a faucet, a tap with just dripping water. It was like drip. That'd be one lead. I could catch it, call, do everything. 3 hours later, I get another lead. I could do everything on that. But then when it switched to Nashville.com, it was just like they turned on the shower or the faucet, and it was just, I was just gushing. And I could catch every lead, but 2 hours later, I was still dealing with the new ones. My other analogy is to try and describe this. It's like a tennis ball machine. You know those tennis ball machines where you're practicing and it just shoots out tennis balls.
Yeah.
And you're practicing. So
you try to hit it and you miss, and
right. So
if
you look at those leads that are coming in like a tennis ball, they shoot out and they're like, oh, I can catch that one. Let me get another one. Let me catch that. Oh, that's a $2 million. Oh, I'll do that in a minute. Oh, another lead. Yeah. All I'm doing is I can catch every single one. But by the time you get to 10 or 15, when you put it in,
you can't service them. And one of the things we love to
they fall through and they roll away. And then I should have got that one. So that's how the team started, because I realized that when the leads come in, I can catch them, but now I got to pass them to somebody else. So originally, I was in this brokerage, and I was just, they'd be like, hey, Justin, do you want to work this lead? And it'd be somebody in the office, and then I would go, here's a lead. And they would go, okay, that'd be great. So they would go off and take that lead. And then one of their own personal clients would call them and say, hey, can we go list our house? Can we go look at properties? So then the lead that I was giving them obviously was not quite as important as their own lead. So that's when I realized that instead of just giving them out randomly and then checking back 3 days later, Justin, did you call that lead? You go, oh, I ended up showing properties to my friend Steve, who's just getting married or whatever. So that's when I realized, oh, now I need to create some kind of system where I can actually stay in touch with those leads and the agents that we assign them. So now it's called accountability. I had no clue what that was back then, because when we started this, there wasn't any handbooks that I know of. So we kind of...
The handbook that I got, Gary, was yours.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, I was very similar. Like, I was generating a bunch of leads because I obsessed about search engine optimization. I advertised my website in the back of a newspaper.
Yeah.
Because the MLS here in Canada at the time updated listings every 24 hours. My website was updating every hour of new listings.
Yeah.
And then I advertised in the back of the newspaper. It was $150 or $160 a week. And people would go to my website, they would inquire, or they would register. I wouldn't do anything. I only dealt with them if they inquired on the property. And then, after about 4 years, I became number one in the brokerage.
Yeah.
And there's some complaints in the brokerage.
Was it CIS? I can't remember.
CIR. Yeah, and then there were some agents in the brokerage complained that this new guy was number one. And then they told me January 1st, 2010, you got to start a team. And I'm like, what? I'm like, anyways, that was how I started building a team. Now, for context, how big is your team now? Now, you were on a team, Ridge.
Yeah.
How many agents on your team right now?
We're like 190 to 200, fluctuating, always up, a little down. But we've it's like the stock market. Started with 2, then 4, then 6, then 8, then 20, then 25. And over the years, because we both are saying, I think we're both like shiny object guys that really focused on generating more and more business, more and more leads, and more awareness. And that just compounds on itself. And as you keep on growing and getting new lead sources, that means you need more agents, which would go back to that whole thing that we started. And so the team's now in Nashville, 190 to 200. Because each month we probably recruit about 8 to 10 new agents. And out of those 8 to 10 agents, we get 1 or 2 that would call rock stars, 1 or 2 that do really well, 1 or 2 that take a little bit longer, and then 1 or 2 that kind of self-select and go, this isn't quite what I was thinking. Yeah. So we're just continually growing.
Obviously through your journey of scaling from being a solo agent all the way up to 200 agents, how do you think about, your job or as a team leader job changes as the team grows? What did you have to stop doing?
Me stop doing? Well, I'm not selling, if that's what you mean. And I think the phrase is to get out of production. So I realized pretty quickly that I would take that lead. That's a $3 million lead. Oh, I'll have that one. Oh, there's another 2. Oh, I'll take that one. And that's human nature, is you want to take all the best leads. But I realized that I can't take them all. It's better to share the wealth, as it were. Because really what you're doing is sharing opportunities. And also, it's much better if I give it to Justin. Justin's going to take that lead and he's going to look after that and nurture that. And he's going to go close that $2 million lead. Then I'll get my share as the team leader and then give another lead to somebody else. So you're making sure that instead of you focusing on all those leads and being greedy, you're actually making sure those leads get assigned out to agents who can actually work those leads. So in reality, this is why Zillow moved away from their lead generation process of just selling leads to agents, because they realized that those agents a lot of the time weren't calling back the clients. So that created a bad user experience for anybody that was using Zillow. So that's when they moved to that concierge program. Because I think there was a stat that 50% of the leads that were sold to agents, so it's a lead that I would get as a Zillow, what do they call it, premier agent.
It wasn't getting called?
It wasn't getting called, yeah.
I think the stat was something like, in North America, the average call attempts per online lead sits at 1.2, right? Whereas there are studies done by MIT for internet lead conversion when it comes to sales that most sales happen in phone call attempts 6 to 12.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So how many opportunities are simply just wasted. It is, a challenge with any team or any organization or any brokerage that's generating leads. It's for the people to see the value in each and every opportunity that is provided. And one of the things that we have found is that, and we have many agents on the team that, less is more. You take less opportunities, but you go deeper with the ones that you have. We have an agent on our team who's been with us for 6+ years now.
Yeah.
Consistently converts at about 30-40% every year, but takes less than 100 leads a year.
A year, amazing. Fantastic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so that is one of the things that like we have learned over the years through watching the numbers. And there's the thing too, like when agents take on too many opportunities, they create overwhelm. I remember when I first got back from Miami, I hired my first assistant, Courtney. Me and her spent a long time just kind of rebuilding what you shared with us to Canadianize it and make it applicable for our market. And I remember I didn't even have auto lead assignment or anything like that. I was working with real estate webmasters to customize a lead routing system. And I remember I'd be like, hey, Christine, I know it's Saturday morning. I know you got open houses and you're full of showings. I just put 55 leads in your hopper. Call them when you can. I was good at creating.
No, I think we both did the same thing. Is that so what would happen is you'd get a really good agent, like Justin, selling, fantastic. Well, here's another 25 leads for you because you're obviously really good. And then you would go, oh, I'll take those. There's another 25. And then you're just overloading. And then what you're doing is drowning in leads. And then nobody gets, oh, here's my other analogy. Do you want to hear my other analogy? I've got so many.
Oh, the plates?
The spinning plates. It's the same thing.
See, here we go.
So this is when you realize that you're old, because I'd say take to the newer agents. So, the spinning plates, and they go, what are you talking about? But what I'm talking about is these like cabaret shows where they had poles, and they would have a plate on the top of the pole, and if you spin it, and it would be spinning, and it would stay there. So you can do that if you imagine each plate as a lead. So you got. I don't
think I could even do one of those. But anyways, yeah.
But if you got 5. You can keep going, and as it slows down, you go back and you spin it to get it back to 100 miles per hour. So it doesn't fall off, and you can keep doing that. So that's really like maintaining contact with your clients. You're staying in touch, you're adding value, you're letting them know about a new listing that's coming on the market or something like that. You're constantly in touch with them. So that's 5 agents. You get to 5 leads. Get to 10, and then you're running around a little bit more, but you can probably stay in touch with them. Now you get to 15, now you kind of like, whoa, there's one that's wobbling a bit. So you run over it, and then you can rush around. But when you get to like 20 or 30 or 50 of these plates all spinning, all that happens is you just keep hearing, and you run over, but you're too late. And then you hear it from the other side, you're too late. So all you do is spend your time running around trying to service these leads, but you can't devote the time that they need. So you just end up with a bunch of wasted leads. So back to that whole thing about less is more. Have 10 leads that it sounds like the guy that does 100 leads a year, when he has a small, or she gets a small selection of leads, but really spends time cultivating that and staying on top of it.
Yeah, and I see this, and I'm sure you've seen this as well. You get people that start on your team, they get very hungry, and they try to get every opportunity possible. And then, they're following the tested and proven process of how to convert to leads. And then suddenly, because they have taken on so many leads, people start to pop.
Yeah.
And then they get overwhelmed. And I've seen agents I've seen people just crash out and saying, you know what, this business is not for me, and leave the industry because of that. But I also seen people that recognize that, if I had taken less and I just followed the process, I would have been able to handle what I had. And one of the things too is that everybody has a different level of how many plates they can spin or handle at the time. And this takes experience and time in the industry to kind of discover that. I'm always of the mindset that, take on what you can handle. We can always always turn the faucet back on when you're ready. And you also don't want to drop the plate or drop the ball on the client experience, because that can harm the reputation of the
You
agent.
get one or two missed calls from a client, and they go, "I called this guy twice. He's
Yeah.
obviously
Oh, yeah.
too busy for me. Let me
Yeah.
go find an agent that will actually answer my calls." And that's because you got too much business.
Okay, Gary, you've been ranked number 1 in the world with Remax for how many years now?
I think it's 8.
8 years. Okay. What keeps a team at the top once you get there? Because staying at number 1 is different than getting there. So how you been able to do that for 8 years?
Well, it's really because of all the systems that you can adopt and employ, and shiny new objects that I like to generate more leads, because you keep wanting more and more business. But really, at the end of the day, it comes down to the people that you work with, the training, the leadership. Because it's obviously not me. Obviously, Deborah and everybody else that's part of the team, having their vision of how we should be doing things, and being able to step back and go, you know what, Deborah, you are right. That is how we should be doing things. Because what will happen, for example, is a new process or a new tool or a new lead source, and I would just throw it into the mix. When Deborah would say, no, we have to explain this, and then we have to let people know how to treat this differently, and we need to start here to let people know here before we tell everybody else. Whereas I would just go, there you go fight amongst yourselves for it, kind of thing. But Deborah really helped with the training, the education, making sure that people, it's not just about showing houses, it's all of the education about making sure that you're up to date with all market knowledge, market stats. So combination of everybody on the team bringing in their expertise, and somebody like Deborah who has a much bigger picture to be able to bring that to the team, the enlightenment for me to be able to go, you know what, that's not my forte. I'm going to step away and
I think it's really important when you're building a team is surround yourself with people that are better than you at things that you are not good at, right? So that they can then,
in general,
and then you have, obviously it's all about the collaboration. It's the cohesiveness of running a team. It's people need to work together, and you need to obviously make sure.
I think we'll also agree that when we go to conferences, and then you end up wanting to meet with people like you, like Chris Lindell, like all of those other friends that we have in the industry. I mean, we're very shallow because all we do when we get together is talk about how, leads and conversion and what's the best way to create accountability, what are the best tools. And then, then maybe you would find this new product and go, hey, Gary, this is an amazing thing. It's called, I don't know, Shiloh. So then you go, let me tell you all about this. And I go, oh, that's amazing. So then we share, and then that enables us to grow. And then maybe I would talk to you about some other new product that we found. And so we end up sharing within it's almost like you're in a country club, and then access to the country club means you've got to be selling more than, I don't know, 1,000 homes a year or something like that.
Yeah.
So that gives you qualify to get in. So then they actually listen to what you're saying.
Yeah. And you know what, for my own journey, going to a conference, making an investment, traveling, all the way down to Florida, getting into rooms where I'm the smallest guy and I get to sit alongside yourself and other, icons in the industry. And I just sit there like a sponge. And I mean, I wouldn't call the conversation shallow by any means. I would call it.
In that we're very focused on what
we're talking business
leads.
systems, strategies, because
you remember though, because like the Chaplac conferences were I always liked those because it was so focused. John was really good about making sure he got fantastic speakers, yourself being one of them. But I always remember us being on stage or on the platform, and we're talking about what drives us, what do we want, and yes, we do want to make sure that we have the best consumer experience and there's all those cliches, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make sure that the business is profitable, and that the agents that we're responsible for, we want to make sure that those agents are making money, because this is the whole cliche, because we want to make sure that their families are well looked after.
Their success is our success, and no one is bigger than the whole, is what I say, including me and myself.
Correct.
We all do our part.
Yeah.
Now, we've always seen, like, we've been in the industry. You're at many more conferences than I am these days. And if you were starting from zero today, in the same market, same tools, what would you build first?
Right now, everything's moving so fast with all the AI stuff that's coming on, and what's the search engine but for AI? What's that called? AEO?
AEO, yeah, to make sure that the your websites, everything is optimized for AI. I mean, sure, there's a component to that, but I would also perhaps argue that there's still a lot of weight in original SEO and ensuring that websites are have authority and have visibility, and because I believe that it carries a weight. The one thing that we haven't seen is how will Google treat it long term. We all know that Google can do algorithm updates. Some of us have been on the bad end of those updates and losing websites and so forth. But yeah, no, you're right. It's moving very fast. And speaking of AI, like, where do you think that the industry is going when it comes to AI? Do you think that, some people think that, we're all going to be replaced by robots or AI. But when it comes to buying and selling residential real estate, is typically based around human emotion.
Yeah, for sure. Because I would always say, even when you're looking online, you can get to the point where maybe you're in Calgary, you're moving to Nashville. I can go show a house for you. You can put the goggles on. We can both be walking through the house in virtual reality, as it were. That you're in Calgary, your significant other or your wife is in, I don't know, Chicago, because you're both separate. There's technology that's there to bring us all into the same room. And we can walk through, and you guys can be looking in the goggles and going, oh, I can see the piano would be fantastic over there. So that will help you narrow down maybe the homes that you want to see. But you still can't replace that experience when you walk into a home, and I don't have it for you, but you walk in and go, this is it. There's something I like about this house. The ambient feel of the house, you can never replace that, I don't think, yet. So you will still need that agent to be able to help you to get to that process and be able to give across that information about it. So the agent will be there to help you narrow it down, but you'll still need somebody to walk you in to the actual house, which is the agent. Yeah. And then that's when the true value of the agent starts. You got to be able to negotiate and use all your knowledge of the area, because you're coming from Calgary, you probably don't know all of the things that I would know in terms of all of the vendors that we want to use. You want the best plumber, you want the best HVAC guy, I need a painter, I need somebody that will help me with the move, I need somebody, you're going to move your cars down, how do we deal with all that? So that becomes the true value of the agent as what you call it, the advisor. So it's not just the sale, it's the whole process from buying to selling to living to existing. I think that's the true value of the agent. So AI can help with that, but it's still going to be relying a lot on the agent's knowledge. So when you're asking me, what would I do? I do think that I would spend, which is what I did when I started. I spent more time learning about the market, driving to different subdivisions, because people would always say, well, how did you get into the luxury market? Well, what I would do is make sure that I would go around all of the luxury subdivisions and the areas and go into the new construction. You'd be the new agent in there, and I would come up and start chatting to you, Justin, and say, hey, Justin, so can you show me some of these things? And a lot of the times those agents are bored because there's not people there every 5 minutes. So they find that, oh, this guy's actually genuinely interested in learning about what are some of the features. Like, I'd never heard of underfloor heating. I thought that was amazing. And good grief, some of these big old houses have got separate laundry, and they've got a little coffee machine there. They got little morning room. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So the more that you can educate yourself about that, so that when you do, which is what happened to me, I ended up getting, it turned out to be the general manager of the Titans. When I got to work with him, and then I was going through some of these luxury homes and developments, the agents that were there, they would say, hey, Gary, nice to see you. And I go, oh, yeah, we're just going to look and, what do you have in the 3 to 5 that's, maybe 6 months out? So I was talking knowledgeably. The agent recognized me, which actually helped reinforce that client's perception of me as being somebody that knows all about luxury real estate. So educating yourself on all the different mortgage programs, all the different products that are in the market, that's what you need to focus on, so that when you do get those leads, because this is what will happen, is that I'll get that lead, you inquire about a $5 million listing, and then I start talking to you, and very quickly you'll be able to go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And then you'll go, okay, great, Gary, thanks very much. And then you go, yeah, that guy had no clue. Let me get back online and find somebody else. And next thing you know, you get an agent that's got knowledge and experience, and that's really what counts, really.
I think one of the biggest things, like any agent in today's market, they need to have the knowledge. Yes, you can get maybe.
I would say you need to have the intel.
Yeah, the intel.
Don't sell without the intel.
Don't sell without the intel. There's your tagline. We got that plug. But it is like AI can be useful to collect information, but then it's on us to ensure that the information is accurate, because not all AIs will spit out accurate information. So having the local knowledge on the ground, having the relationships as well, with the service providers in and around any home services, the builders, the new communities, and also inside, with all the agents in the marketplace.
And that's it. I was going to say, that's the next thing, is you need to have established relationships with agents within the market. And then people know you and recognize you and appreciate the fact that you've treated them with respect. And those relationships, you build over a number of years, but that's what you need to focus on. So yes, getting the intel, getting the knowledge. I think I was thinking when you were asking me that question, because normally I would have said, well, just make sure you go join a team, because you do need those leads, but you need that intel to be able to work those leads properly. So being part of the Residential Real Estate Council, getting your education, being able to establish yourself as a professional, I think that's what's going to be able to separate you or elevate you.
Yeah, no, it's always like, I believe that to be in this industry, you always have to be a student. You always have to learn. And I think you also have to stay humble, because you have to continue to learn. You don't know it all. And, the moment that you think you know it all, I think that's a sign that you're in trouble. Right. And we see in this industry, there's so many egos that can kill deals, kill relationships.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's a relationship business. It's also about how you make your clients feel. You want to make your clients feel like they're the only one, and that you have all the resources available to them to ensure that it's a smooth transition, whether they're buying and selling, because all of those things are typically an emotional driven decision.
Yep.
And as you said too, like when you walk into a house, we can't create that feeling they get when they walk in. They're like, Gary, this is it.
This is the one. Yeah.
Right? Like there's no
I don't
script.
see it, but if he likes it, that's fantastic.
Yeah. There's a feeling.
Our job is to point out the good, also point out some negative, and people go, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. My line there is, my job isn't just to sell your property, but it's also to sell your property that is also sellable in the future. Right. And that means sometimes you talk people out of buying or out of selling.
Yeah.
We touched on AI. Mm-hmm. But you now run, I guess you're called an enterprise team now, or Team Ridge. Yeah. Because mega teams, they're starting to shift, obviously, what they call teams nowadays.
Well, because, for sure. Because if there's a team that's genuinely a team that's 5 people, can you really make a comparison to somebody that's got 200 agents when it comes to the volume of sales? So I think what they're trying to do is make it a little bit more comparable.
So does the team model survive the next 10 years, or does the industry consolidate into something else entirely? What do you think? There's obviously lots of changes going on down in the US right now.
Yeah, I don't know, because the teams are really the new, what were the brokerages, because the brokerages used to offer so much more in terms of training, support, and things like that. And then as agents wanted more and more of that commission, that meant that less and less was going to the brokerage. So the brokerage didn't have the resources then to be able to apply back to the agents. And that's when teams came along, I think, probably very oversimplified, but team leaders would definitely reinvest back in the product, invest in the training. And then now the way it's going, yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. What are you thinking, Justin? I'm going to throw it back to you.
Throw it back to me. I mean, you know what? Clearly, the world is changing.
The world doesn't change that much, because when the landscapers come, when they come to cut the grass, then the dogs bark. So
Yeah.
that'll be a constant. AI will not replace that.
Yeah, I was just waiting for Olive to bark when she heard your dogs bark. But you know what? I do believe that, you know, it becomes more and more challenging for brokerages to compete in the environment that we are right now. Like, I mean, I look at our marketplace, it's like almost like a race to the bottom of when it comes to the fee structure and how they collect money. I do believe that, you know, teams, enterprise teams, Team Ridge, whatever you want to call it, teams have more resources to build and create systems, training opportunities, branding, marketing, that kind of stuff for the agents to thrive. And I think that, you know, to be a successful solo agent, you got to wear a lot of hats and you have to be good at a lot of things. And one of the things that, you know, you also see is that, you know, sure, there are some solo agents that can run a really successful business, but I know solo agents that sell 100 homes a year and they net 30% because they have so many expenses. You know, a team is a partnership with agent and a team where they get to tap into the resources, the systems,
Scale, yeah.
the support, economies of scale, so that they can then run a business. You know, you touched on this earlier on. It's like 100% of nothing is nothing. 50% of something is more than nothing. And there's also the cost of acquisition that the agents don't necessarily have, or the financial risk. I mean, you and I both know what it takes behind the scenes from a financial commitment from a team leader to, you know, make a team go, and especially to be ranked, you know, number one in the world 8 years in a row. Like, there's a lot of weight that are on those shoulders of Mr. Gary Ashton to make that.
I've got to share it with Deborah. Deborah takes most of that, and then I just I come in later.
Yeah, but it's like any leaders, right? Because, you know, you bear the responsibility to ensure that your agents have the best opportunities in the marketplace. They have the best systems and the support to ensure that it creates a great client experience.
Honestly, though, it is a blessing and a curse, because you want to be the agents, you want them to be successful. But I had this conversation this morning, kind of say, like, when agents on the team are doing well and they're successful, so out of those 100 leads that we're giving them, if they're closing 10 out of the 100, I mean, that's a 10% close rate, which is fantastic, considering that the industry average for internet leads is what? 1%? Yeah. So if you're getting it at 10%, amazing. But what the agents don't always understand is that what we're giving them is not 100 raw leads. We're giving them leads that we've used through our systems to be, scrubbed. So we're giving them opportunities rather than just bare leads. But those 100 leads, each one costs the same, essentially. If you're closing 10, that's amazing. So when the agent says, can I get a better split because I closed 10 of these, I'm closing at 10%, that's when I will kind of come back and say, oh yeah, sure, we can improve that. But if you don't mind sharing in the cost of the acquisition, because those 90 that you didn't close cost the same per lead as the 10 that you did close. So, you know, there's 1,000, whatever our cost of acquisition is. And then that's when the agents go, oh, I didn't really yet to pay for those.
Yeah.
And then the conversation. So it's a blessing and a curse because you don't want to have to explain everything that you do and everything that costs you money because you really want to focus on their success. You don't want to go, well, yeah, great on the 10, but look at the 90 that you didn't close. You want to focus on that, but you really have to find that balance. Because I always say, on that lead that you did close, you made way more than we did, even though we're taking a big split. But out of that big split, then we have to pay for.
You got to pay for those other 90 leads that didn't.
Pay for the overhead
close.
of all the staff, the building, all that stuff that do you really want to cloud the issue with that? Just let them be happy that they're actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think that one of the things that I find that is incredibly rewarding is watching people grow personally and professionally in the organization, and then they build an incredible life for themselves and their families, whether that is paying off debt, becoming debt-free, buying their first house, or, buying their 7th investment property, or taking a family on a 1-month vacation, because that's what they like to do. Gary, just as we're wrapping up here, you changed the trajectory of my business with one conversation back in 2012. Who did that for you?
Change the trajectory? I don't think it's anybody that one person, but it's definitely been lots of people within the connections. Obviously, people like yourself, like Chris Lindell. Obviously, Deborah Beagle's a massive impact on the business. John Cheplak, as we know, has been an integral part of changing mindsets. I think that this is going to sound like a cliche, but having an open mind is what John would say, to be able to listen to, and that I'm pretty stubborn about certain things, but I think I will say that I've become definitely more open-minded to listening to a different point of view. Because at some point I'll go, oh yeah, they were right. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. Because that's exactly what Deborah does. She would say, I do like this idea, Gary, but let's think it through. And I'll go, oh yeah, you're right. So Deborah and I are always very much aligned on the end journey. And sometimes we come to it slightly differently, and she's the same way. She'll go, you know what? Yes, you're right. I wasn't really seeing it like that. But now you point that out. Yes, and so it's definitely a yin and yang. So I think there's no one person, but it's a collection of people, our peers, I would say, and going to conferences and meeting people and
lobby cons.
Yeah, lobby cons.
Lobby cons are the best.
Knowing the guys, and honestly, being able to go to conferences, because that's how I met the guys from Wailopo, Howard and G. Yeah. That's how we met Justin Benson. That's how originally we met, what's his name? Oh, I've forgotten the name now. Founder of Follow Up Boss, what's his name? Dan. Yeah, Dan. Yeah. So forgot his name. But that's how we met people. And
we miss Dan.
Yeah, for sure. And then, knowing everybody else that we know, going to those conferences, knowing... If I hadn't have gone to, there was one conference that I was not going to go to, but I ended up going, and then because of that, I ended up meeting a guy called Mark Graham. He now is the VP at Realtor.com, and because of that association, I ended up meeting the new CEO. It's not new now; it's like 3-4 years ago. Damien Eels, and then if I hadn't have gone to those things, I wouldn't have met those people. And having people like that, knowing Grant, Grant Wise. Grant's been a big proponent and driving force behind some of the ideas of the growth that we've done. So, he's co-marketing product.
Which we both use and love. But
if we hadn't been going to those conferences and events, and just because I know that there are certain people that would just stay in their own environment, and I think that we probably know the same people, and I've seen that they haven't grown in the same way maybe that we have over the years, because we've been a little bit more open to actually going out and meeting people and listening to.
Well, it's you know what I think it's we all have the same growth mindset, but we also know that if we put ourselves in certain rooms, even though some of the travel, it is tiring and exhausting. And, but you get into those rooms, and if you get one idea or you meet one person that can have a massive impact on you personally and professionally. And it's like, for me to travel all the way down from Calgary to South Beach to go to a real estate marketing conference, right? I met you, right? So the last one, someone listening here, and it's where I was.
Travel to South Beach. Oh my goodness, such a.
I mean, you know what? Leaving Canada, going down to the white sand beaches, no, not a bad thing at all. No. But traveling down there takes a full day.
It's a long way. Yeah, for sure.
Last one. Someone listening here today is where I was in 2012 and is sitting on an opportunity they just can't see. Mm-hmm. What is the one thing that you would tell them?
Good grief, I have no clue how to answer that. Sitting on an opportunity. I mean, you just got to make sure that, I think it goes back to investing in yourself, making sure that you're continually educating yourself. I mean, there's all of these platforms of places that you can go to. The Buffini coaching, you can go to Tom Ferry, you can go to Cheplak, and I think each of those different coaching have different styles, so you got to find the one that appeals to you. But most of them, I think, is really more about making sure that you stay current and updated, educated, and networking amongst your peers. So that's what I would do, I guess. Make sure that you have somebody that opens those doors or opens your eyes to having an open mind.
Well, that's what you did. You opened my eyes to all the opportunities I had under my
I was the
nose.
tiny hinge that swung the big door. How about that?
Yeah, tiny
What's
hinge.
The other one? The heart chooses, the mind.
Mind justifies. We got all these Sheplak zingers, don't we? Right? But they seem to be true, right?
No, they are true. It's a cliche, but the cliches are there for a reason, because they've proved themselves. They're platitudes that they've been proven right time after time after time.
One of the things that I call running a team, and you heard me say this, it's like sitting in a classroom of human behavior, including me, myself, and I, right? Because it truly is. We get to see so many different scenarios. Obviously, working with our clients each and every day, they're making emotional decisions. They're getting emotional. We then have to try not to take that on ourselves, but we tend to do at times. And, but it's a beautiful place to be in. It's an amazing business to be a part of. I'm incredibly grateful for your friendship, your mentorship. We chat on a daily basis in our group chat with Chris Lindahl.
Yeah.
Always bouncing ideas. And, he has obviously been very...
So here's the big elephant in the room. What's that shirt you're wearing? I can't really see it, Justin. But if you pull back a little bit, what's on there?
Well, what's the shirt you're wearing?
So mine, I'm from England, so this is 3 Lions. That's the England squads for the World Cup. This is what they're wearing currently. So strangely enough, Justin and I are big soccer fans, and the World Cup is going on right now. And today is it Thursday? I think it's
Thursday, July 9th, and England and Norway are playing on Saturday. So Norway's the underdog. We never thought we would get this far, but it's going to be a fun match. And Norway, the entire team is sick right now. Apparently, maybe that's some propaganda.
This is the start of the propaganda. They're already trying to build up, like playing mind games with the Brits, going, they're all sick, so we can go in, we'll crush them, and then
we got a guy that was born in Leeds, and he is hopefully he shows up and scores a couple of goals.
Who was that?
Holland.
Oh, where was he from? Where was he born?
I told you, born in Leeds, but Norwegian parents, and he spent.
I think I was telling Amanda this last night that he was born in Leeds because his dad used to play for Leeds United, which is my hometown. Can you see the sign for Leeds United? And so his dad used to play for Leeds, and so that's when he was born. And I think he was in Leeds for like 3 months or 5 months, and they moved back to Norway. So, but he could have claimed, technically, he could have played for England if he wanted to.
If he wanted to, yeah. But he acknowledged that he was born in England, but he spent most of his time in Norway, and his parents are Norwegian. And again, here's one of the things that's beautiful with the World Cup as well. It's watching all the fans from around the world unite.
It is, and this is that other cliche, because I was watching it, and then so England played in Mexico City.
Yeah.
And I've watched a few of the fan, what do you call them, the vlogs, and you know, it's going to be a hostile atmosphere, as it were, in the stadium, because everybody wants their team. But after the game, there were so many people that were coming up to the English guys and celebrating, and the Mexicans were wanting to have pictures with the English guys and congratulating them and saying, you know, good luck in the future. So it's a cliche, but it's bringing people together. And you've seen that across America, because I think even with America, people will have a perception of what Americans are and what life in America is like. And then all of these people coming in going, oh, wow, these Americans are so friendly. And look at everything that they've got here. The food here is amazing. It's been an amazing experience. So it's helping to break down the international kind of perceptions and barriers, which is a cliche, but it's true. People are really, you know, would you go and fight somebody if you've actually just spent a couple of months living in their country, seeing all the games and getting to know?
I mean, I think it's great for humanity. I think it's also showing a lot of Americans how big of a sport soccer really is, right? And you know, they're learning a little bit about geography and where different countries are and all that kind of stuff. But it's, you know, like, I mean, I see some of the videos of all the Norwegians in Times Square, you know, where they're doing the Viking row.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know what's funny though? I didn't really know about the row. Obviously, I knew Norway and the Vikings, but I didn't know that was a deal, that people would do that at the games and do the whole rowing thing. So that was amazing. And that's the benefit of social media too, that we're actually getting to learn a little bit more. Because, you know, I'll send you stuff about Norway that I see on Instagram with that. You'll know where it is. So it's the rock that's wedged between these two sides of the cliff, and it's, I don't know how many thousands of feet below. Where's that? Do you know where it is?
Preikeskolen, that's what I believe it's called.
Yeah.
It's like a super steep cliff, and there's a rock wedged in between.
And that's where people do the base jumps off there and the hang gliding. So
I believe it's about 1,000-meter drop. And
so that's the benefit of social media. You get to know about kind of stuff like that. And I had no clue about all of this.
You know what we got to do? We got to get Chris Lindahl on that rock doing the arms out.
You will get me nowhere. I'm so scared of heights that I could never go do that.
You know what? As a kid, I was never scared of heights. But
no, because you were skiing down the jump.
Ski jumper. Yeah, I was ski jumping when I was a kid.
I went on YouTube. Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching Eddie the Eagle in Norway. For
it was
the
in Calgary,
here
right?
in Calgary. Yeah. But I even went back and I went on YouTube and I found some videos from the ski club where I used to ski jump.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, no, it got me a little emotional, and I kind of wish I would have carried on ski jumping when I moved here to Canada, because I grew up in a community.
Could you have elected to ski from Canada?
Well, if I would have made the ski team, if I would have done that, I think I could have done pretty well. I mean, I started ski jumping when I was pretty young. Yeah. In Norway, pretty much born with skis on your feet.
Right.
You just go out the back door and you'd be skiing.
Could you do it now? Could you even try it?
You know what? So they have zip lines here at COP right now.
Yeah.
Where you can go a zip line down the ski jump.
Oh.
And sure, brings down, like when I was 11 years old, I basically went off. It was a 60 meter, which is 10 meters smaller than the 70, which is the medium sized jump here that we have here in Calgary. And I'm like, there's no way I would do that now. I don't want any broken bones.
There's no way I would even contemplate going up there.
Yeah.
Even on the dive, you know that in the swimming pools, you got the diving boards, and then you get to the one at the very top where they do the
10 meter
faults and do all that. I walked up there one time, and I was literally hanging on to the edge because I just get to the edge and I couldn't even do it.
So what we need to do, Gary, is when we travel somewhere next, we need to go skydiving.
I'll be at the bottom taking the pin down.
You'd be taking a selfie, yeah. Thanks again, Gary. And so you're rooting for England. I think there's about a 25% chance Norway will win, but you never know. It's who shows up that day, and
it's going to be an amazing game. It's going to be absolutely fantastic when we win. It'll be terrible if we lose, and it'll be fantastic for you if you win. So
it's just fun.
There'll be a cloud over my house for like Amanda's like. Why are you so upset? She doesn't understand, but she's kind of getting that way now. Because Amanda and I went to USA versus Australia for the World Cup. That was amazing. I think I was wearing this shirt as well, even though it was Australia. It was a great game.
I've never been to a World Cup game. I know you and I were chatting about like, hey, we should go to Miami and go to the game on Saturday.
It would be amazing. But the thing about, so I was actually... Alvaro is a friend of mine. He's the CEO of Commissions Inc. Alvaro is from Argentina. I went down to a friend's kid's birthday party in Atlanta yesterday. Alvaro lives in Atlanta. Argentina were playing Egypt in Atlanta, and I think he could have gone if he really wanted to go, but he said, I'm going to watch it at home. I'd rather be at home because if we lose, it's not good. He's going to be so upset, but... And that's kind of almost how I feel like it would be amazing because if we both went, one of us would be super happy and the other one would be super annoyed. And then you can't help but like poke the bear a little bit and better just to enjoy it from home is the way I think.
Well, England is known to have a really good soccer team on the international stage. Norway wasn't expecting to go this far. So, even if they lose, I think Norway's going to be happy.
This is the misnomer. Some of those, everybody playing now in the World Cup is up here. Like, Americans are upset because the American team was out, but they were fantastic. As America keeps growing, soccer becomes more and more attractive. The NFL is obviously the biggest sport here, but as this generation that's watched the World Cup becomes more and more involved in soccer, and more people enjoy the sport and realize that you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars to buy the gear and all that good stuff. It makes it a lot more
definitely
attractive.
A more cost-effective sport to be a part of. You just need a set of cleats and a ball and maybe some shin guards.
Yeah, you don't even need that. You just need a ball.
Compared to like here in Canada, hockey, it's super expensive for families to have, a kid or two in that. And
ice hockey, the same thing. All the protective gear you have to pay.
Yeah.
Same.
And the kids are growing, so they're constantly
basketball
changing
is probably the best equivalent without having to invest a ton of money, but you still need a net. With soccer, you just need two little posts. That's it, and that could be a shirt and a shirt,
or a garage door. That's what we did back in Norway. Thanks again, Gary. Appreciate your time here today. And if somebody needs to get a hold of you or has any referrals for you in Nashville, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
Well, the easiest way is to go to GaryAshton.com. So that's my URL, or Nashville Real Estate. Awesome. And then you can get me through there. Or you can go to Instagram. It's Gary.Ashton. That's probably more.
Or you just Google Gary Ashton Nashville, and you will pop up at the top.
Just Google Gary Ashton. I think there's a doctor, I think, in Canada, but most of the time I rank pretty well for Gary Ashton with one R, Gary Ashton, awesome. As in Ashton Cigars. I should have had my hat on actually.
Thanks again, Gary.
All right.